Good morning, everybody. Happy Good Friday. Is it a good day? Is it a bad day? And here's the thing. I just said, let's go on because I'm still getting ready. I'm still putting stuff in. So give some people time to come in. Let me know where you are streaming. You're streaming too, right? Or you're listening to a stream. Kind of the same thing. So we're kind of preparing. So hi, producers. Can you tell them that this is what we do beforehand, right? Say hi, everybody.
Hey there.
Hello.
So we talk through the show. We go over elements, and I go onto the TikTok. What is our thing again? Trump judge, GOP judge. What is it?
GOP judge owns Trump.
GOP judge owns Trump. Hi, everybody. GOP. I'm here. We're just doing something different. Judge owns, because he does. That's what we're going to talk about. So why don't I just tell you what I did last night, by the way. Oh, shoots, and I forgot to get some pictures. And we got what do you call it when you get like pushed out? By Mayor Bloomberg security. We were supposed to go back and meet George Clooney and the security. I mean, they were just moving so fast that we got pushed out. But anyways, we ended up having dinner. So last night, I ended up going to Good Night and Good Luck, the play on Broadway. And I don't do a lot of Broadway plays because I'm not like I'm not a musical person, but I do love Broadway. And oh my gosh, guys, if you have not seen it, have you guys seen it? Any of you guys, producers, have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
I have not.
It is so good. I think they're going to win everything. It is really, really, really good. The set design, George Clooney is amazing. And I had forgotten that George Clooney did the movie. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah, I remember we studied it in some of my film classes.
Yeah, he did the Good Night and Good Luck. But I mean, didn't he do it like just a couple years ago? He did Good Night and Good Luck. So anyway, it's about the journalist Edward R. Murrow. And it's really, I mean, it could have been about the news. It could have been about today. I mean, honestly, it was so freaking good. And, it just goes to show you how history repeats itself and we should learn from it, because what Senator McCarthy was doing was abominable. It was unconstitutional. And what was our thing yesterday? It was anti-constitutional. And you would think that we would learn our lesson. Roy Cohn was in it. And Roy Cohn, Donald Trump's, what was it? That's who he looked up to. That was his mentor. And it was really good. So George Clooney and a bunch of other actors. What was her name of the show that What's Her Face did with Wanda Sykes, the something adventures of Christina, whatever her name.
It was the new adventures of old Christine.
Oh, Christine. The one who played her ex-husband. Do you remember that guy?
Yes.
Kind of handsome, balding. He was the other anchor he would follow Edward R. Murrow, like his newscast would follow Edward R. Murrow. And then the guy who did 60 Minutes for a long time, Don Hewitt, his character was in there. But it was just spectacularly done. The cameras, like they had, everything was like done from the, when Edward R. Murrow, was it 50s or 60s? Hey Siri, Google Edward R. Murrow. From that time. And we thought, like in the beginning, I'm like, gosh, Clooney has to be reading a teleprompter. But because the whole play is really almost all him, and he is reciting these news stories and all of these things, and just he is just great. And there were a couple of times I'm like, is he going up on a line, or is he just sort of doing it so that he doesn't seem robotic? Whatever it was, though, it was brilliant, because he would he wasn't perfect. And I'm like, but did Murrow mess up at that point and say extra instead of extraordinary? It was just really, 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 really great. So we went to see that. And so my friend who is the head of the Ford Foundation, his name is Darren Walker, got us tickets, and we went. And so we were with Mayor Bloomberg and his fiance or wife. What's his name was there? The guy who played, what is his name? Movie star Shoots. I'm so bad at movie stars. Let me see. I'll tell you who it is. He just played Bradley Cooper. So Bradley Cooper was there. My old boss, Jeff Zucker, was there. My old PR person from CNN was there. Fred Friendly, who was George Clooney, not George Clooney, excuse me. Fred Friendly, who was Edward Murrow's, George Clooney, the character he was playing. The producer who, really fought to have Senator McCarthy exposed in this whole sort of communism thing. His widow was there as well as his son. And so he has a very prominent role in the play. But I would urge you, if you come to New York, excuse me, if you come to New York, please go see Good Night and Good Luck. Brilliantly, brilliantly, brilliantly done. And I am very, very, very tough on Broadway plays, etc. and the like. This one was, I think, spectacular. I think they're going to win everything. And what's his name? McCarthy. I'm sorry, Murrow. And I'm so happy to have. I do have a Murrow Award, so I am happy that I did get a Murrow Award for the. What did I get it for? For the DC Snipers. I won a Murrow Award for my reporting. So I am a real reporter. Once upon a time, there was this reporter, anchor, correspondent named Don Lemon who had to get out in the field and do shit, and won Murrow Award for his reporting. So he was spectacular. He believed in the news. He believed in without fear or favor reporting the news. He pushed CBS, the network. Pele, the network head of the network, there was a brilliant actor who played him. It was just really amazing when you think about now, and it is exactly what they're doing now. They're demonizing the people who are reporting on them and who are telling the truth, and up is down and down is up. So go see that. And then the night before, I do have to say, I should show you guys pictures sometimes. The night before I went to see, but before that, anyway, we were supposed to go back and see George Clooney after the play, but we got like all mixed up in the sort of hustle and bustle with Mayor Bloomberg's security. And so we got boxed out. That's the thing. And then we were just like, screw it, let's just go to dinner. Like, I'd met George Clooney before, had dinner with him, blah, blah, blah. Not a humble brag, just the truth. So anyways, the night before, I just want to shout out my friend. You guys remember when I would do the show? I'm going to get to the news, but it's Good Friday. I feel like, I'm doing a Regis and Kathy Lee. So I'll get to the news. So the night before, my friend, who is probably the most prominent artist in the country or in the world right now, I think. His name is Rashid Johnson. Google him, Rashid Johnson. Definitely the most prominent Black artist, but beyond that, he's probably the most prominent artist. So when I would do the show, this is my little studio in my guest room. But when I would do the show in my dining room, and I would sit in front of the white painting that had like sort of the things that were all in a row, that was from Rashid Johnson. And I could not afford that painting if I was not friends with him. He is like, I could probably retire on that painting. I'm not kidding. But only because he's a friend. I profiled him on CNN, and he has just become the premier prominent artist in the country, in the world. And so he has a retrospective now that is at the Guggenheim. It's not just, he doesn't just have a show at the Guggenheim. It's a retrospective on his entire career. And it is, I walked in, and as soon as I walked in, I looked and I just started crying. And I could not, I said, I can't talk to you, Rashid, because I'm so overwhelmed and I'm so happy for you. And it just shows you like, you can achieve anything that you want, whether you want to be an artist, you want to be a journalist, you want to be an educator, a teacher, whatever it is that you want to do. If you have the skill set, I'm not going to say that you can be, what do you call it? An Olympic athlete if you don't have the skills. But you can achieve anything you want. He stuck to what he believed in. He would not let people, whatever art that he believed in, that's what he did. And I just think he's brilliant, and I'm so proud of him. Okay, and so those are my 2 nights in New York City. And then I went to dinner with my former boss afterwards. And this is what we talked about, okay? So good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. This is Hot Topics, and I know I should have pictures. So let me just say before. I'll do this because I did not get any selfies with, I didn't get any selfies with Rashid, but I will give you this just so you can see it. It produces, if you can get it in, let me know. Because you're not supposed to take pictures, but at the end, I just did a little bit. This was last night. And then, let's see, do I have anything? Oh, I do have it, but I don't have anything with Rashid, or do I? You guys will forgive me, right? I don't have anything with Rashid, but I do have a thing with our friend group who, but we don't have Darren in here. And yeah, and then I'll show you, and you'll remember what I'm talking about. This is the painting I'm talking about. I'm just going to show you guys this. It's Friday and it's a holiday, so chill out, chillax. Okay. Well, I'm going to show you. I'm going to send it. I got some stuff that I'm going to show you. I'm going to send it to you. Here we go. Let me know when you get these in, and then we'll get to the news. We'll do something different today. Let's do a little bit of real hot topics. Real hot topics. If you can get some of this stuff in. Okay. All right. Let me know. So let me know, what are you doing for Easter? What are you guys doing for Easter? Are you celebrating? What are you doing? And let's just shout out some members until we get that stuff in. Yo, Don, no selfies. I know, because I caught up in the moment, and I keep saying I should get selfies. I was also somewhere else earlier in the week, which was a thing, and I didn't get selfies there either. Hey, Tim. He's not here. I forget, because we do so many fun things sometimes that we've been doing lately. I've just been living. I'm going to tell you the truth. I have just been living. So what did I do? Wednesday was the griot, and then we did something. It was Rashid's event. Oh, and then yeah. Tuesday was the town hall with Michael Cohen and Jim Acosta. And then Monday I told you I slept in because my friend called, and she has vertigo. So let me know, guys, when you get the stuff in, and then I'll just talk about it. I'll tell you about it. And then I'll get to the news, because I'll tell you the last thing I did was I went to dinner with my old boss, and then we did. Did you guys get it, right?
Yeah, I'm working on it.
You're working on it. I know it takes forever. Sorry. So then we're going to talk about the news, because I think there's hope in the news. And there is hope for things on the horizon. We're not out of the woods yet. But seeing that play last night actually gave me some hope, because I do think that the rule of law can stand, pardon me, but it only stands if you stand up. And the theme of last night's play, by the way, was something that I talk about all the time, and that is you have to be willing to sacrifice something. And there was a line in the play at the end where George Clooney is standing there as Edward R. Murrow, and he says, you've got to be willing to fight. You've got to be willing to do something, right? And this was before the civil rights movement, when all of this was happening. And you got to be willing to sacrifice something. And I do believe that people, oh, you have it up. Okay, so this was good night and good luck. This is at the end. Look at this set. And I wish I could show you the cameras, like the top part. So this top right part up here is that's so there in the beginning, there's like a jazz singer. It's like Ella Fitzgerald. Actually, I think it's Sarah Vaughan more than anything, and sort of singing through. So the music of the folks at the top, the woman singing jazz, is sort of giving you, it gives you a feeling of the time that things were happening. She's singing, and it's like sort of the 1950s feel, like television was just coming about, television news was just coming about, and it was a thing. It was everybody cast into everybody's homes. And if you look at the left and you see the little light fixture between the two guys on the left, those were the lights that they used in the studio. And then the right, where you see the clocks on the wall, the right is that's the newsroom. And then behind the two guys on the left, you see this glass, that's the control room, right? So for me, it had meaning, because everything old is new again. Everything was so big back then, right? Meaning everything like the lights, the cameras, all of it was just so big back then, and it was just beautifully done. Any more pictures? Anyways, so in the middle, okay, so this, and then this was the night before. So if you want to know kind of who my friend group is in New York City, I have very diverse group of friends. And so that's me on the left, my new fancy bell-bottom suit that someone made for me for doing that charity event. Remember I did the fashion show? That's my friend Michael, then Gunnar, and then my friend Holly. And then there's Tim, my husband, and Robert Mark, who's the eyeglass guy. When you guys ask me who does my eyeglasses, that's it. Darren Walker, who's my friend and mentor and buddy he's from Texas and Louisiana. He is he's the head of the Ford Foundation. And I think he's maybe the first African-American head of Ford. Anyway, I love him. Charles Blow, the journalist behind New York Times, remember? My friend Mario. And then that is, I forget his name, but that is Charles's partner back there. The guy next to him with the white shirt and blue and suit, that is Darren Star. Darren Star is the creator of Sex and the City. And what's the other thing with the kids in the 90s that are all live in Melrose Place? And Emily in Paris and Younger. And then all the way to the right, you guys should know if you watch the station that, yeah, that's Charles Blow in the back. Someone is, I thought that was Charles Blow. And then if you watch before, that's Tracy Jacobs, my friend who I spent my birthday with, and she came on to talk to me about the Oscars. But then I also have other friends who are milling about that they are not in this photograph. And then if we have other things, this video that I'm about to show you, this is Rashid. I didn't get close to him because I couldn't talk. You can roll the video. There's no sound. I mean, you don't have to play the sound. And so this is Rashid as I was going through, and I was just so emotional. Oh, by the way, the guy who's talking to him is the guy from $1 Million Listing. I forgot that guy's name. So he happened to be there. There were lots of folks who were there. And so this is Rashid at the Guggenheim the other night. And I was just like being paparazzi. And I want to give this to him so that he can see how he was the belle of the ball. And so I'm going to go around. I'll get a close up of Rashid. There we go. There he is. This guy keeps getting in the way. Get out of the way. So there he is right there. And everyone was just coming up to him and congratulating him. I'm so proud of him. I mean, you guys have no idea how big a deal that is to have a retrospective at the freaking Guggenheim. Rashid Johnson, I love you, man. You are amazing. I mean, he's been such a great friend. He and his wife, Sherry, and his son, Julius, it is just beyond. And there were so many huge artists there that I can't tell you, so many like stars and whatever. It was just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful night. Do we have any of the photographs that I sent of this stuff? No? Okay. So that's just yep. Anyway, that's Rashid, all happy. And then when I saw him, I did cry. And he's like, "You're going to make me cry. Stop it." Okay. Do we have any of the art real quick before we go on? Before I go talk about the news and I bring in Monique and we talk about the good news. Amazing support. I love it. And I look, so that's the painting that I have a very small version of this giant painting in the Guggenheim. And do you remember that painting? Then when I sit downstairs, that's it. So, yeah. Yeah, there we go. And that's what I've been doing the last 2 nights. And that's why I have not been getting any sleep and you guys have been yelling at me. Okay, so let's talk about this. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for going with me on that. I just wanted to shout out my friends and shout out, I think you should go because a lot of people come to New York City for the summer and the spring and they go see that play. It's fantastic. Okay, so welcome to the Don Lemon Show. This should be shocking. Allow me to repeat, this should be shocking. That statement, that there's a statement that from Judge J. Harvey Wilkinson's rebuke of the Trump administration. His striking opinion issued last night reaffirmed that the Trump administration has to take a more active approach in seeking the release of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who was deported to El Salvador last month, despite a court order expressly forbidding him from being sent there. But the opinion authored by Judge J. Harvey Wilkinson III, a conservative jurist appointed by President Ronald Reagan, contained far more than simple legal instructions to the White House. This brief order, it's only 7 pages, rebuked Trump officials for their blatant disregard of the bedrock principle of due process and for allowing a man whom they have acknowledged they wrongfully deported to continue to languish in a foreign gulag. And so they cannot say that this is an activist liberal judge. This is one of the most conservative judges in the country, appellate judges, most conservative judges in the country. He was appointed by the gold standard, supposedly, of Republicans and Republican presidents, and that is Ronald Reagan. And he is rebuking the Trump administration. Now, I just want to play this for you, and then I'm going to show you what is going on with Abrego Garcia. Okay? Give me the Dan Goldman. I want you to hear about this judge. Give me Dan Goldman, and then we're going to go to Abrego Garcia. This is what he says about what this judge just ruled. Here it is.
Wilkinson, who's notorious, well known as a very conservative judge on the Fourth Circuit, wrote what it will go down as, I think, one of the most powerful recitations of making the case for the rule of law that we have seen. And yes, he chastised the Trump administration and obviously says what we all know, which is facilitate requires you to actually do something, not just claim that you have no power. But the way that he breaks down the separation of powers and the rule of law and explains why it is so important is a lesson that every American should take, and every American should read this opinion. It's short. It is remarkable.
7 pages.
Amen. So give me the opinion. We're going to put the opinion up in just a moment. Okay? We're going to put the opinion up in just a moment. So that is where we're going to go. And we're going to tell you that Abrego Garcia is alive and someone met with him, and we'll give it in a moment. But first, we need to take care of some business, okay? So today's show, the Don Lemon Show, is sponsored by BetterHelp, okay? So you guys know how I feel about therapy, and part of therapy is getting out and being with people and meeting people and talking to people, and I've been doing that and not self-isolating, not sitting in the house, getting out and getting some vitamin D, even when you don't feel like it, even when you have to push yourself. I believe in taking the stigma off of mental health. I have suffered from depression. I am on an antidepressant. I always tell you, it's the bupropion. I think is the name that most people know is Wellbutrin. And so I've been taking it for a little bit, and it's been working. And if it doesn't, then I'll try something else. But I also believe in therapy. I believe in therapy with my whole heart. And so, look, if you go for a therapy, in-person therapy, it can cost you a lot of money. Okay, you know that. I've been telling you that for 2 weeks now. It can cost you up to $200, $300, $400, $500, depending on where you live. Well, not with BetterHelp online therapy. You can save on average of 50% per session. As a matter of fact, if you go on and you use my name, you can get 10% off your first session. Okay, this is the first session of the first month. I'll clarify as I go through this. Okay, so I believe that therapy should be accessible and it should not be a luxury. With BetterHelp, you pay a flat fee for weekly sessions, saving you big on cost and on time. With online therapy, you get a quality care at a price that makes sense and can help you with anything from anxiety to everyday stress. Your mental health is worth it, and now it is within reach. So, with over 30,000 therapists, they have helped more than 5 million people worldwide. It is the largest online therapy platform. It's convenient. You can join a session with a click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. Plus, you can switch therapists at any time. So your well-being is worth it. Visit betterhelp.com/Don Lemon to get 10% off your first month. That is betterhelp.com. betterhelp.com/Don Lemon. betterhelp.com/Don Lemon. I talked to my family about this. I encourage my family to seek therapy. I encourage even my mother to seek therapy. She fights me on it. But hi, Mom. I'm not going to go in her business. And anyways, I'm not going to put anything on the show that I don't believe in, just like I believe in the separation of church and state. The Don Lemon Show is also brought to you by the Freedom from Religion Foundation. And a lot of people are stepping away from organized religion. I hear a lot of my friends, a lot of people who are believers. I just had a text conversation. I kid you not. I swear to you know what. You can say that. But I kid you not. I just had a text conversation this morning with a group of friends where we discussed faith and talking about what's happening at the White House and with the White House religion advisory board and all that stuff. So anyway, this is what I believe in. So today's show is sponsored by the Freedom from Religion Foundation. And what they do here is they try to keep the separation of church and state. You cannot step away from it, even if you are a believer and you want to step away from it. Religious nationalism is on the rise. Okay? People are fighting hard they're working overtime to shove their beliefs into laws, our schools, and even our personal lives. That should not happen. That's where the Freedom from Religion Foundation comes in. They fight to keep church and state separate, like our founding fathers actually intended. So whether you have always been secular or you want to leave religion behind, I have left it behind, go check out FFRF. It has your back. Go to ffrf.us/freedom or text my first name, Don, to 511-511 and become a member today. Text Don, D-O-N, to 511-511. Or go to ffrf.us/freedom, because the only thing worse than someone forcing religion on you is when they do it by law. So for membership information, text Don to 511-511 today. Text fees may apply. So thank you for that. Thank you to our sponsors. We're so happy and grateful for them. Don Lemon Show, the Lemon Nation, you're big time. You have sponsors. We have more sponsors coming in because they know that you guys are awesome. Okay, so go check it out. So, okay, let's talk about this stuff, because this is a photograph of Senator Van Hollen, who is in El Salvador. They fought for him not to meet with Abrego Garcia, but he has. And so this is from his tweet. And it says, I said my main goal of this trip was to meet with Kilmar. Tonight, I had that chance. I have called his wife, Jennifer, to pass along his message of love. I look forward to providing a full update upon my return. We will discuss how they're trying to demonize him and this picture and the senator and what is going on. But I want to talk with our very own Legal Eagle, our contributor, the smartest woman I think I know besides my mom, okay, that I know, and that's Monique Presley. Monique, thank you for joining us. Thanks for coming on to discuss this. Sorry, I had to go over a little bit of what happened last night. It is a Friday. Monique also talks about this in the Week with Monique that comes at 2:00 today. So we wanted to bring her on. Hi, Monique. How are you?
Hey, Don. I enjoyed you talking about it. I can't wait to see that show.
Oh, thank you. Oh, yes, you got to see it. So let me ask you this, Monique. You talk about this. This is your expertise. Am I wrong about this conservative judge? He really just slaps the Trump administration. Talk to me about this. What does this ruling mean? And let's put up this ruling. Do we have the ruling? Go ahead, Monique.
Okay,
What's the
so
deal?
I'm now giving like little love names, little pet names to the judges that come out and do the right thing in blazing fashion like this. So Judge Boasberg, I'm now calling Nuck If You Buck Boasberg. Because his order read like straight, like it was right out of the music. And now I'm calling Wilkinson, I'm your Huckleberry. I don't know if anybody knows the Tombstone reference, but he's like, you looking for a fight, I'm the one, you've got the one. And he lays them out. I mean, he reads this administration for filth. And you're right, the part that is the part that eliminates some of their usual retort is he is the typical Reagan appointee, lifetime federal judge who in the past has sided with all kinds of conservative principles and arguments where he can, where it's been lawful. But what this administration is now finding out is that these judges actually do swear an oath to the Constitution of the United States. And even more than that, they have egos that rival any president of the United States. These judges are like, say what? You're mocking me on Twitter? You're saying oopsie? You're saying
Ah,
uh-oh? They're like, no, you don't. No, not with me. No, you don't.
wow. Okay, can we read through some of this? Do we have it up? I need to make it look. Andy, you know I can't read that. So anyway, so that is a ruling. It's 7 pages. But you know what I can do is let me read from what was the article that I had that I said that really laid it out the most. And I don't think the Political article, was that the right one that I had on Judge Wilkinson?
You requested Politico, yeah.
Is that Judge Wilkinson? I want to make sure that this isn't the Boasberg article, right? This is a Wilkinson article.
I have it in front of me too, Don, and it's got some great Wilkinson quotes.
Okay, yeah. Let's put up the Political article on Wilkinson. I just want to make sure that I get it, and then Monique and I will go through it, because it fantastically lays out exactly what's going on. Conservative judge blasts Trump administration shocking conduct in Abrego Garcia case. Judge J. Harvey Wilkinson's ruling is the latest judicial rebuke of the administration's failure to follow court orders. And let's keep going on this. Okay. And so I just want to get to some of the quotes. The administration is asserting, this is from the judge, is asserting to stash away residents of this country in foreign prisons without the semblance of due process that is the foundation of our constitutional order, wrote Judge J. Harvey Wilkinson in an opinion for a panel of the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals. What is he saying right there, Monique?
He's saying that the main principle of our organizing document of the Constitution is that you can't be punished without due process of law, that people don't have a right to your liberty interests, to enslave you, to imprison you, to detain you, even to seize you or to seize any part of your property without you being able to go into court and have an opportunity to either prove or disprove the allegations against you. That's what we stand for here. And it is not a right that just applies to citizens. If you are living in this country, you have the right to due process before you are detained, before you are imprisoned, before you are forcibly removed by deportation or what they're doing, which is new now, which is kind of like slavery abroad as far as I'm concerned, because it's not a deportation if the person isn't here illegally. That's not deporting. So we've got to come up with new language for what this administration is trying to do. But he's saying due process is the foundation of our constitutional order. It's the way that we make things make sense here. They can't just come, snatch people on the streets, stick them in jail here, or deport them abroad without a legal process where you get to hear the charges against you. You get an opportunity for representation if you cannot afford it in a criminal matter. You have an opportunity to hearing, if a hearing is called for, or a trial, and then whatever happens by way of the judge, you're sentenced.
Okay, next, go to the next paragraph. Monique, I'm so happy you're here. Thank you so much. Further, it claims in essence that because it has rid itself of custody, that there is nothing that can be done, he wrote. This should be shocking, not only to judges, but to the intuitive sense of liberty that Americans far removed from courthouses still hold dear. Monique.
Right. It's absurd to think that we would have Americans abroad who, and we see this all the time. We see this with cases like with Brittany Griner. We see this with journalists who are illegally seized and detained and imprisoned abroad. We see this with American citizens, sometimes who do something wrong, sometimes who are just in the wrong place at the wrong time, but they are held by foreign governments. And because they are residents of America, because they are citizens of America, our government, with embassies all around the world, our government advocates.
Monique, you cut out. Monique's internet. Let's see.
What? Can you hear me?
Is it? Yeah. We just had a little glitch. Maybe it was just me. So just repeat what you said just for the last 10 seconds. I'm sorry.
I was saying we have embassies all around the world, and we have diplomatic relations all around the world so that our government can advocate for us when we are abroad. And the judge is saying this is absurd. This is shocking, not just to judges, but to anybody who's thinking right now, I'm safe if I go travel to Spain and something goes wrong. I'm safe if I travel to Mexico and something goes wrong. Not in that something can't happen to me, but that my government at least is going to be quickly advocating on my behalf, which is what prior to this administration, our government has been doing. Even in circumstances where Americans have committed crimes abroad, we still step up and try to advocate for their being released and brought home.
Okay, so this is a crux that Monique and I both talked about, all right? Wilkinson is a liberal, kidding, an activist liberal judge. Remember that that's all they've been saying. These activist judges, they've been going after them. They're saying they should be impeached. Remember Donald Trump said that? And all of the lackeys around him were like, yeah, they should. Okay, well, Wilkinson is a Reagan appointee who has been on the bench for 41 years, audience and Monique, is one of the nation's most prominent conservative appellate judges. His 7-page opinion is the latest and most scorching judicial rebuke of the Trump administration's aggressive moves to sidestep court orders in high-profile immigration cases. Now, this is a thing because Monique has been coming up with pet names. He's not the only one, but this one is probably the most excoriating of them all, right? Scorching of them all. Earlier this week, U.S. District Judge James Boasberg found probable cause to hold administration officials in contempt for defying an order to halt deportations of people deemed alien enemies. And U.S. District Judge Paula Zinnes scolded the administration for having done nothing to comply with her order to facilitate Abrego Garcia's release from El Salvador. So they were using this thing like these are activist liberal judges. They can't do that now. Okay, let's go through this. Wilkinson and the 2 other judges on the Fourth Circuit panel rejected the administration's appeal of an April 10 order from Zinnes directing the administration to take all available steps to facilitate Abrego Garcia's return to the U.S. as soon as possible. Wilkinson zeroed in on the Justice Department's admission that it had mistakenly deported Abrego Garcia. And this is what the judge says. Why then should it not make what was wrong right? What is he saying there?
He's saying you admitted you made a mistake, correct it. I mean, it's very simple. What they're doing is transparent. They're not just kicking against the rule of law and the ability, the requirement that they adhere to court orders. And keep in mind, Don, the Supreme Court has already spoken on this. So this is all the way up the food chain. Everybody is saying what is true.
The Supreme Court said his deportation was illegal.
Yes, because there was a standing order already from 2019 that he was not supposed to be sent to El Salvador for his own protection. And so whatever would end up happening with his status, his legal or illegal status in the United States, what wasn't supposed to happen is what they did. And these people who are in this current administration simply do not care. But what I think the judge did that makes the most sense to me is he carries the thread further. Who's to say it won't be American citizens next? Who's to say it won't be political enemies next? If when you do something you're not supposed to do, you're not even willing to correct the mistake, who's to say you won't just be trying to ship whoever you desire to ship to wherever, El Salvadoran prison, wherever people will take them. And we've heard this president discuss that out loud in the Oval Office with a foreign leader. So that is really, truly where we are.
Okay, let's continue to go through here. I just want to get some of the quotes because I think this is the one of the most damning. So the Supreme Court said it was illegal. That's what they ruled upon. Has done nothing. That has not moved the Trump administration. We'll talk about that. Wilkinson warned of a dangerously slippery slope on the horizon. If today the executive, which means Trump, the executive branch, claims the right to deport without due process and in disregard of our court orders, what assurance will there be tomorrow that it will not deport American citizens and then disclaim responsibility to bring them home, he wrote. Well, that's exactly what he's doing right now. him and the president of El Salvador.
Well, he's doing it now, not with an American citizen, but with someone who was supposed to have due process protection and was not supposed to be sent to El Salvador. So they broke any number of constitutional rules and laws as with respect to this particular person. And multiple judges told them not to do it and then to correct it, and they have refused.
Okay, let's continue on. That is, I mean, to me, that's one of the most, I thought this was damning because it kind of puts it into perspective. If today the executive claims a right to deport without due process and disregard of court orders, which means defying these judges, what assurance will there be tomorrow that it will not deport American citizens and then disclaim responsibility to bring them home? I think that is scathing. Also, I think if you are, well, the Supreme Court has already said this was illegal. So if he's trying to get this turned over or whatever, if there is, if they push back on this, does the Supreme Court, are they going to go, well, I don't know. I think this kind of this boxes them in. This kind of boxes everybody in. Do you understand? I'm not a legal eagle, but you understand what I'm trying to say? Because this is the crux of the argument.
They've already spoken, and they're not gonna change their minds about what they've already said.
They said what they said.
Right. And so now we're at that moment. We're in the part where we figure out whether our Constitution is going to hold up. And the way we figure out whether it's going to hold up is if our processes hold up. So when we have an executive branch doing the things that Wilkinson describes, that Boasberg describes, Zennis and others, that part isn't really the crisis, which is what I talk about at 2 p.m. today at length. I won't say ad nauseum. I hope not ad nauseum. But when my Week with Monique drop comes today, we're talking about what a constitutional crisis is and isn't. And here's where we figure it out, because people try to break the law all the time, including presidents, including the people who work for them. The issue is, does our court system still have a means to enforce its orders against lawbreakers?
Uh-huh.
And that's the journey we're on. It's coming to a head. And even Wilkinson says it in the order. He's like, you're putting these two branches on a collision course that ultimately is going to diminish both. Now, he's not saying he's going to lose in it. He's just saying we're both going to end up a little bloodied before this all gets figured out and finalized.
Oh, for real, for real. Okay, but look, also, I thought this was really important too. Okay, by the way, make sure you hit the thumbs up. Make sure you like and subscribe. More people will get to hear and see this conversation that's happening with Monique and me. That's right. Yes, me, happening with me. And Monique, and also I like to be grammatically correct.
And that's how I remember it also. Yes,
I speak in the vernacular sometimes, and people think that they're being all proper when they're like with I, and that's not how it works. Okay, so make sure you do that, please. And then the membership link is at the top of the chat. Make sure, again, hit the thumbs up, and it's important to keep us going. And also make sure you click on Monique's a video today, this week with the Week with Monique, that's coming up at 2 p.m. today. And she's here to discuss. Just so happens that what she's talking about is breaking news today. And then this is what I think is important, Monique. And then he says, and what assurance shall there be that the executive will not train its broad discretionary powers upon its political enemies, which is what oddly the Trump administration claimed that the Biden administration was doing with no evidence of it, because people were saying, Merrick Garland, what are you doing? Why are you taking so long to actually do something that is lawful? And now they're saying, basically he's saying, you are taking retribution against your political enemies. I think he's hinting to that. And then he's really positing it as what happens if.
Right. He's calling it what happens if, because no one yet has suggested that they send Hillary Clinton or Secretary Clinton or Vice President Harris to an El Salvadoran prison. I'm sure if they could.
But Monique, you know what they're doing with Chris Krebs and Miles Taylor. Miles Taylor. I mean, they want to prosecute them. So, I mean, we're going down that slippery slope. Sorry to interrupt.
And with the law firms, we're seeing executive orders that are attacking educational institutions, attacking law firms, attacking individual actors, attacking billionaire donors. We're expecting a couple of more orders to be coming out in that regard shortly. People are kind of guessing about what they're going to say, but these are all targeted attacks for Trump's enemies list. And every time Vice President Harris was saying he's got an enemies list, I've got a to-do list, he's going to be going down. I mean, that is exactly what he is doing. And but what I want to be clear about, Don, is that's what he's trying to do. The only way he gets away with that is if we capitulate. So there are the Harvards of the world and now the Big Tens of the world who are saying, you know what, try me. And that's what has to be done in order for us to survive this type of attack. So the judge is highlighting it and saying, hey, I'm looking at you. And we're all seeing Trump attempt to do these things with executive orders, but they only have as much weight as people give it. If you comply in advance, then sure, his executive order becomes rule of law because people complied. But if you fight, then they're toothless.
Let's go through. I think this is it, and then we'll finish up with this, okay? And then he chided the administration broadly. Again, this is excoriating. Broadly for its contemptuous attitude toward the judiciary, noting it calls for the impeachment of judges and exhortations to disregard court orders. In this environment, he wrote, the executive and the judiciary branches are coming too close to grinding irrevocably against one another in a conflict that promises to diminish both. This is a losing proposition all around. Damn. Yeah.
He says you're not going to win. He says we might end up bloody also, but be clear, you're not going to win. I mean, it's important with Boasberg. He found probable cause for criminal contempt. That's some government attorneys that can end up in lockup if they keep representing these clients who are willfully disobeying court orders. Government attorneys have a heightened standard. That's a no-no. This judge is saying, you keep doing this, we're headed for a collision course. And all I heard, because Don, I was a government attorney for 15 years, as senior assistant attorney general. I'm a trial litigator. I'm not somebody who plays a lawyer on TV. And when you're in front of those judges, they have the arrest warrants like sitting right off to the side, just ready to sign. And the marshals are there in the courtroom. And if the marshals won't do it, because I hear people saying, no, the marshals work for the Justice Department. That's Pam Bondi. She won't allow for it. Judges can use local officers. Once they sign a federal warrant, it can be executed by DC police, by Virginia police, by Maryland police. I believe Governor Moore, or right now, Mayor of DC, they'd be happy to assist a federal judge in executing a warrant.
Okay. Let's talk through this, Monique. You have some time? You got time?
I do. I have some time.
All right. I'm glad Monique has some time. So Monique, let's talk about Abrego Garcia, right? And we'll put up this. Van Hollen met with him. That we have the tweet of that. And then his wife is speaking out. See those glasses there? All right. I want you to notice, right, what's going on, because they're trying to demonize the man. We'll talk about that, but I think it's more important to go to his wife. Let's get the human element in. Let's listen to his wife. MSNBC Abrego Garcia's wife speaks out.
We had the breaking news that Senator Van Hollen has accomplished at least that stated goal. He was initially turned away from this prison in El Salvador today, but then hours later, the El Salvadoran government arranged for Mr. Abrego Garcia to get out of the prison in order to meet Senator Van Hollen, somewhat bizarrely, in civilian clothes at a hotel in San Salvador. Now, we do not have a sense of what this is going to mean for Mr. Abrego Garcia overall. His lawyer tells us tonight he's just learning this meeting happened from social media like the rest of us are learning it. El Salvador's president just posted online that Mr. Abrego Garcia will now stay in El Salvador's custody. But again, it is the U.S. government that has been ordered by U.S. courts to get Mr. Abrego Garcia back to the United States. So we shall see. We did just obtain this statement from Mr. Abrego Garcia's wife. She says, quote, "My children and my prayers have been answered. The efforts of my family and community in fighting for justice are being heard because I now know that my husband is alive. God is listening and the community is standing strong. We still have so many questions, hopes, and fears. I will continue praying and fighting for Kilmar's return home. Thank you to everyone, including Senator Van Hollen, my CASA family, all our unions, faith leaders, and community for continuing this fight for my family to be reunited."
Okay, so Monique, look, I wasn't sure. My producers and I sort of went back and forth about this morning. Like, what was the importance of maybe he was alive, maybe he was dead? Do you think that was real? That people were thinking that he was unalived? And obviously, signs of life is obviously very important, and we're happy to hear that. But and his wife is, now has been demanding justice. So all of those things that I just said. What do you think?
I was very concerned initially that he was no longer alive when, I would say, before the president of El Salvador was there in the White House with Trump. Then I knew that this was cahoots, this was, a jig, and that the United States was paying to keep him there and willfully disobeying the court's order. Before that, I wasn't sure, when it seemed like it was just El Salvador being non-responsive to requests to present Kilmar Abrego Garcia. But now it's obvious that he is alive. They went a long way to put him, I guess, in the clothes that they took him, and when the United States sent him over to El Salvador. But what is very obvious, what is very obvious to me is that if El Salvador can present him to his senator, who went all the way over there to do a proof of life check and to talk to him, then it is just one word from the administration and sending a plane to pick him up, and he would be back, because he is over there on our taxpayer dime. He's not over there because El Salvador says that they have some criminal offense against him that means he's justified in staying there.
Okay. Remember I said, Monique, look at those glasses on the table. I want you to pay attention to that. Okay, so this is Bukele, the president of El Salvador, mocking this meeting. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, miraculously risen from the death camps and torture, now sipping margaritas with Senator Van Hollen in the tropical paradise of El Salvador. Here's the thing. The reporting is that representatives from the Bukele, there it is, Mr. Bukele in a social media post, even crowed that Kilmar Abrego Garcia, miraculously risen from the death camps and torture, was now sipping margaritas with Senator Van Hollen in the tropical paradise of El Salvador. But according to a person familiar with the situation, Bukele aide placed 2 glasses with cherries and salted rims on the table in front of Mr. Van Hollen and Mr. Abrego Garcia in the middle of their meeting in an attempt to stage the photo, I guess, so that he could mock him and say that they were sipping margaritas.
Right. I mean, I'm sorry that it was staged. He deserves a drink.
Go on.
It's
Even if he had one, he deserved one, right?
He deserves a few. He should still be drinking. I mean, and actually, before they said that it was staged, I was hoping that Senator Van Hollen arranged for that, because what you need the most, right, is aid and cares and respite and something that will strengthen you, because he's not going to be able to return with him. So that to me doesn't matter one way or the other. I was just happy that the man is absolutely still alive. And listen, you can be holding me in a castle, or you can be holding me in a dungeon. My conditions would be worse in the dungeon, but I still would not have liberty in the castle. It is just as wrong. So the fact that they may or may not be ensuring that he is treated well and kind of treating him with kid gloves and not like the other people in that horrible prison where they're holding people, that doesn't matter. He's over there on our dime, and the Trump administration needs to bring him home, or, as I said, some people are going to go to jail. These line attorneys, I hope they're listening to me. You better get ready to stick your wallet on the table and your watch and prepare for an orange jumpsuit, because this is not a game. It's not a game. They're reading the court orders, and they should understand what these judges are saying.
But can Trump, pardon them from that, or have them excused from that, or no?
He could pardon anybody he wants to pardon for a federal offense. I don't think Trump will give a damn enough about line attorneys or about low-level agency people to pardon them, but he certainly could do that. But the lawyers especially still would lose their licenses. They would have committed crimes. They would have been doing things that violate ethical standards. And just because you get pardoned doesn't mean that you're saved with, the DC Ethics Board. But we know that family members of the Trump administration are now up for DC bar positions on purpose in order to be able to control what goes on in the nation's capital with the lawyers. It's a little bit of Ponzi, a little bit of heist, a little bit of mafia games.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that. So the White House is tweeting, mocking Van Hollen and Abrego Garcia. They have really been trying to do a number on this man's, his credibility and his reputation. Then they have this woman who's sadly, who lost a family member. I think it was a child from MS-13. But here's the thing. These two are not the same in a sense that because, pardon me, there's been no proof that Kilmar Abrego Garcia, it has anything to do with MS-13. And if he does, show the proof, and then we'll talk about that. Like, show some evidence, right, of it. And they have been trying to conflate this. And I think this whole thing is what now the FCC chair, they wouldn't carry a press conference where they had a woman on the other day, and he's threatening to yank the license of MSNBC and other news operations for what they're called something news distortion, which is not a legal term. Go on my Substack and read about what I wrote about that. Go on my Substack and read about it. As a matter of fact, we can go through it if you have time. So anyways, so now they're trying to do that. This is about all of us. This is the Midas touch. I forget what the legal, what's his name? I love the guy. But anyway, over on the Midas touch correspondent, where he talks about Abrego Garcia is all of us. Here it is.
What is the United States Supreme Court going to say about that? They couldn't write anything more powerful and eloquent and pithy in getting right to the heart of the matter. This is not just about Abrego Garcia. And they're right. It's not about whether he is or is not MS-13 part of the gang. It's not about whether he and his wife had marital problems and domestic violence in their marriage. It is not about what happened to other people who might have suffered from a crime committed by the undocumented. This is about our rule of law and our co-equal branches of government. This is about whether an executive branch is lawless or not, and whether the judiciary has the gravitas and the respect ultimately of its other two co-equal branches of government to do its job. That is what this is about. You could strip the names off. They don't matter. I mean, they matter to the families. They matter to me. I like to get the guy out of, bring him home after 33 days of being in a dark, dank, supermax killer jail that he shouldn't be in. However, this is about greater principles. Most cases that end up at the Supreme Court should always be about greater principles. And as the arc of history bends, our greater angels are the ones that need to lift us up. That is, we should be siding with the angels and not otherwise. And that is the clarion call that these three judges are making. And they come from different administrations. You got Republicans and Democrats in this panel, Wilkinson, King, and Thacker. You do. I mean, there's no Trumpers in there, but I've been doing this a long time. I've been reading a lot of decisions and orders and opinions since I was in law school, if not before, and for the last 35 years, and for the last 5 years on Legal AF. That will go down for me in the pantheon of some of the most powerful and moving statements that have ever been written, and hopefully will be cited and quoted in future briefs moving forward that we will cover here.
Michael Legal AF. I get it, Michael, and I know Michael. I just, hey, it's early. I haven't finished all my coffee. So Monique, I think you're on board with him. You guys are aligned in your thinking, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. Those judges and the bulk of the judges. That's why the Trump administration has been being blocked and blocked and blocked all over the country, because they are attempting to repeatedly do lawless things by way of executive order or sweeping changes or bulk firings. And they are, for the most part, the large majority of these cases are successful, either successful in temporary restraining orders or getting injunctions, or now we're seeing success long term in that once they sue, there's going to be discovery. And so people are going to have to be witnesses. And then ultimately, what does Trump do? And I've watched you talk about it before. He caves. And so that's what people need to understand. That can happen here as well. If we hold the line, then the administration will end up caving because they're not really interested in this big, long, drawn out fight. They're interested in getting away with whatever they can get away with as quickly as possible. And if it gets too hard, then they back up and they go another way.
Wow, unbelievable. I just want to play, let's put this up. This is by Martin Niemöller, the poem that people love to recite, and I think rightfully so, and is First They Came For. It says, first they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. I think we have that here. But that someone is tweeting that. And then, because I was not a socialist, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for—
I'm listening to you.
That's okay. And then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. That's what we all need to think about. That's why I say we all need to be willing to sacrifice something. That was kind of the subject of the play. That was a through line of the play that I went to see last night. Good Night and Good Luck. And that's also what David Brooks is discussing in the New York Times. That's what he's saying. David Brooks is saying what's happening is not normal. America needs an uprising that is not normal.
Yeah.
Now, what does that mean? David Brooks, he goes through and he explains it, but what does that mean? In the beginning, there was agony under the empires of old. The strong did what they willed, and the weak suffered what they must. But over the centuries, people built the sinews of civilization, constitutions to restrain power, international alliances to promote peace, legal systems to peacefully settle disputes, scientific institutions to cure disease, news outlets to advance public understanding, charitable organizations to ease suffering, businesses to build wealth and spread prosperity, and universities to preserve, transmit, and advance the glories of our way of life. These institutions make our lives sweet, loving, and creative, rather than nasty, brutish, and short. But Trumpism is threatening all of that. What is that national strike different than what we did before? I don't know, Monique. What is that?
I think we're watching it happen. There was a lot that was said, and Reese and I talked about it a few days ago on my show, about the fact that the Black people were not the front line in the big, huge marches and protests that happened a week and a half ago, that some of our people, our community were out there, but by and large, we were seeing white people from all different kinds of socioeconomic status, from red states, blue states, educated, non-educated, who have decided the direction this country is going in is a threat to their personal freedoms and to their economic security, and they hit the streets. And that is what is required. That is going to have to be the more. It can't be that over and over again, the same groups of people make ultimate sacrifices, putting body and personal freedoms and family and employment on the line. And then once we gain some civil right, everybody who benefits says thank you, but it's not equal sacrifice. So what we are seeing now, I believe, is a change for the better where that is concerned, and they're going to have to keep going. I mean, that's what Cory Booker spent that 25 hours trying to get people to open their eyes to and realize like it's going to take all of us, because when all of us go out, then the message goes to these senators, these GOP senators and Congress members who also care about job security, that your fealty to Trump is you about to lose your job. It's gonna cost them everything, because now their own constituents are up in arms about it. And you're seeing it in the town halls all across the country. And the people in the town halls are not conducting themselves the way we would expect. You never would expect to hear a conservative red state citizen saying, "What about Kilmar Abrego Garcia?" But that's what they've been doing, because they understand that this rule of law is precious. That if I'm the one or you're the one who gets arrested tomorrow, what I'm counting on is that I have the right to remain silent, that I have the right to be informed of the crimes against me, that I have the right to an attorney if I cannot afford one, that I have an opportunity to hear the charges, and an attorney will be presented before the court and explain my circumstance. Like, there are specific rules in the Constitution about what's supposed to happen. And yes, there's a separate hearing process where deportation is concerned, where people are not citizens, but there are still due process laws that apply. And it matters.
Monique, I'm glad you see a change. And so we don't know exactly what happens next, but we're going to see, right? I do believe that this is a change. And that's why I said, hey, we have some good news for you. And I think we need to get into some good trouble, as Jackie Blue is saying in the comments. Monique,
Yes.
2 p.m. Okay. And producers, do we have a redirect for Monique at 2 p.m. or do we?
Yes, we do. So after this ends, it will redirect to the page where Monique's piece will air. So everyone, when you get there, set your notifications. So at 2 p.m. when it airs, you can take a look.
And also, if I may, Dawn, my show is on Make It Make Sense on the Monique Presley channel starting at noon. And today we have Ariva Martin, and we are talking about autism.
Oh, good. I love Ariva.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, she and I are both autism moms, and she
Yes,
has
I
the
was gonna
Special
say.
Needs Network. And our HHS secretary, that idiot, made these comments, RFK Jr., about these poor expectations for children on the spectrum. And these two Black lawyer moms have something to say at noon today.
I have a very dear friend who is also an autism mom. And I think, did he just turn 21 or 23? My friend Candy, I don't know if you know her. But her son just turned 23, and she is such a great, great, great mom, and as are you, and I'm sure Ariva as well. Yes. So, Monique, thank you. We're going to see you at 2 p.m. today, and of course, always here on the Don Lemon channel and on the Monique Presley channel as well. Make It Make Sense. And happy Easter to you.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your Good Friday, and happy Easter.
Thank you very much. Monique Presley, everyone. We need the applause. Woo! Andy, we got to get our applause. We got to get our sound effects. Okay. Didn't you say there was already some sound effects here on this platform that we use? I don't know. Anyways. So here we go, guys. That's that. Now, I want to talk to you about something as well that I think is important in this moment that that Michael sort of spoke to, Monique spoke to a little bit. And I think just the entire theme here, and of course, the play that I saw last night was very inspirational. And it just so happens that I had written about this. And I said, you know what? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This applies to everything that is happening. So this is what I wrote. And you can go to donlemon.com. It's in my Substack. You can put up donlemon.com. It'll take you right to my Substack. And I talk about what's going on in journalism, and I talk about what's happening with the administration, because I think it is really important. Again, after seeing the play Good Night and Good Luck, I was like, wow, I just did this. And I agree wholeheartedly, 100%. Now, I want to read this to you because look, I do think that you have to get into good trouble. You have to be willing to sacrifice something, and that you have to be aware of these things. So I would urge you, if we can put it up, guys, donlemon.com, go to the Substack. And so I said, when fear replaces journalism, when fear replaces journalism, the FCC's threat to MSNBC is just the symptom. Capitulation is a disease, and it's by me. And I wrote it yesterday. And I'm just going to read some of it. It says, Brendan Carr, the FCC chair, is threatening to sue MSNBC and other outlets for what he calls news distraction. That's not a legal term. It's a political one, a chilling one. And we should call it what it is. It's an intimidation tactic dressed up in the language of accountability. What Carr is really saying is this: tell the stories I want told, or else. The story in question, MSNBC and others declined to air a Trump White House press briefing featuring a grieving mother whose child was killed by MS-13. The administration used that moment to justify the controversial deportation of Kilmar Garcia, a father not accused of any crime, by framing him as part of a broader gang crackdown. Now, remember, I just talked about this. They are using this man in this way, and they're using this to demonize and criminalize all immigrants to the country by framing him as part of a broader gang crackdown. MSNBC made an editorial decision not to carry the briefing live, and for that, Carr accused them of misleading the public, calling it news distortion, and threatened to go after their FCC license. This should be a 5-alarm fire for anyone who believes in free press. But in a media landscape already buckling under the weight of corporate cowardice, the response has been muted. And that's no accident. It's a result of years of erosion where the business of journalism stopped defending the mission of journalism. Did you guys hear me? I want you to hear me on that. That's no accident. It is the result of years of erosion where the business of journalism stopped defending the mission of journalism. Let's be honest. Many newsrooms still have good reporters trying to do the work, but too many are playing it safe. Too many are bending to the pressure, whether it's from their bosses upstairs or the government down the street. And while the corporate owners are the ones making the deals, the journalists in the building also have a responsibility, a sacred one, because the job isn't to stay comfortable. The job is to speak up, even when it's risky, especially when it is risky. When the Associated Press was kicked out of the White House briefing room for refusing to parrot the administration's preferred language, most outlets stayed quiet. That wasn't just a missed opportunity. That was complicity. When Donald Trump sued CBS and 60 Minutes for airing an edited but accurate interview with Kamala Harris, the message was clear. Cross me, and I'll come for your license, your reputation, your bottom line. ABC folded just as quickly. Not because it was wrong, but because the truth was inconvenient. And where was the outcry from the rest of the industry? Journalism doesn't work if it is only brave when it's easy. It doesn't function if reporters aren't willing to chase the truth, but only so long as it doesn't threaten their access or their audience or their contracts. Carr's threat isn't about distortion. It's about domination. It's about testing how far he can go before someone pushes back. And right now, the silence from the top and the silence on the ground tells you everything. Because you cannot call yourself a journalist if you choose fear and call it balance. If you choose silence and call it neutrality. Without fear and without favor, that's the job. Anything less is surrender. I believe in those words. I believe that you have to be willing to sacrifice something. Look, I have sacrificed a lot, and I have faced the consequences and survived and was, tried to bury me or whatever, because I believe in without fear or favor. At the end of the day, I believe that I have an oath to the constituents, to the American people, to my constituency, which is the American people, and that I work for you. And so go check it out. Those are the things that I do over on the Substack that's different than what I do here. You can hear my writing, which is also a form of therapy for me. So thank you for BetterHelp.com. Go check it out, BetterHelp.com/Don Lemon. And then also go to FFRF/US. Right? Is that right? I'm going to make sure I get it right. FFRF.US. FFRF.US/freedom. So thank you for all of that. What are you guys doing? Let's shout some people out before we get out of here, because it's a Friday. I want you guys to enjoy. Thank you. Hey, Corette, thank you for your support of independent media. Thank you. Debbie, thank you for your gifts. Because of Debbie's generosity, 5 people get to become members of the Lemon Nation. Okay? 5 people get to become members of the Lemon Nation. So Raven Star, welcome. Sandra Presley, welcome. D. Maurice, welcome to the Lemon Nation. Kiki Monifa, welcome to the Lemon Nation. Hi, Don. Please let your Lemonhead fans know when we can get your merch, hats, jackets, shirts, etc. Hey, we had an update yesterday. We had some mock-ups for you. Was that? Oh, but that was on the private chat. See, we talked about that in the private chat. If you become a member of a certain tier, then you get to, you get to hear about these things that you don't hear about here. So welcome to all the new members. Thank you, LC, for your support. Peace for Lisa. Thank you for your support. Join me in celebrating Don's channel if you can. Peace and love, Lemon Nation. Thank you, Peace for Lisa. I appreciate that. So all of our new members, again, welcome to the Lemon Nation. I'm so happy that you are here. Paula Cleveland, because of Paula Cleveland's generosity, 10 people get to become members of the Lemon Nation. Okay, everyone? So look, guys, I think you need to be media literate when you talk about, because there are some people on here you're saying shout out to that's not necessarily true behind the scenes. It's not what you think. There's a lot of stagecraft going on with some of that. There aren't many people who are in that briefing room, or hardly whatever, who are doing that. A lot of it's stagecraft. I'm just saying. So I appreciate you guys. And I always say to you as I leave, I say again, you got to be willing to sacrifice something. I'm so happy that you get a weekend. I hope it's a long weekend. Maybe some of you get Monday off. I don't know. I hope you had today off. I know the stock market is closed. Thank goodness. Woo, Lord. Crazy, crazy, crazy. And by the way, only members now get to comment. Did you guys notice that? That only members get to comment.
Only subscribers.
Subscribers, not members. Subscribers. You got to be a subscriber. But I hope that only subscribers and members, right? So if you're a member and you're not a subscriber and you're like, why isn't my stuff happening? Then that's because you're not subscribed. So make sure you hit the subscribe button. It's right next to the Don Lemon channel logo. Hit the subscribe. It's free, and become a member. Our memberships are very reasonable. It keeps us in these streaming streets. We don't have the big contracts, and so, but we are getting sponsors now because we're doing so well. And make sure you hit the thumbs up. So thank you for following us on Instagram, watching live on Instagram. A lot of folks do that. A lot of folks watch live on Facebook. A lot of folks watch live over here on the TikTok, on the TikTok. So make sure you smash the screen. Yes, we are doing well. Yo Swifty3 over on TikTok. We are, regardless of what you hear from the haters. And so anyways, I hope you have a wonderful, blessed, fortunate, happy, safe, successful family surrounding you, loved ones surrounding you weekend. If you are a believer, then congratulations, and go revel in your beliefs and your God. So thank you guys for joining. And no haters, says Mets Girl. Welcome to the Lemon Nation, by the way, Mets Girl. So as I always say, you ready? Turn the TV off. Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.